Alright, so if you've gone fishing more than like 5 times in your life, you probably notice that some days you catch a lot of fish and other days you don't catch anything. And there are reasons for that, and I'm going to go over them in this video. And I will be targeting trout in this video, but you can honestly apply this information to many species. So here's the weather for day one, and you can see that everything's pretty consistent. The wind is pretty consistent, and the temperature's slowly rising. But more importantly, you can see the barometric pressure underneath the temperature, and it's pretty consistent throughout the day. Barometric pressure is basically just the measure of air pressure in the atmosphere. There could be high pressure or low pressure, and if these pressures change, it can bring different conditions. So usually low pressure will bring bad weather, and high pressure will bring like clear skies and stuff like that. Lots of fishermen believe that the fishing is actually better when the pressure is rapidly dropping, and this is due to the fact that fish usually can pick up on that, and this also means that a storm is coming, so the fish will try and feed because they know that the conditions are going to be bad for feeding during the storm. So here we are setting the rods out for trolling, and this is a deep reservoir, so it can be difficult to find the fish, and it's also highly pressured reservoir, which doesn't help at all, but you could still catch some decent fish.
Come on, get out. Alright. It's just dead weight right now. Oh, I think did it come off? It may have just came off.
Yeah, so I do lose a lot of fish when trolling, but that's pretty normal because the fish are coming up really quick and swiping at it, and they may not catch all the treble hooks, but it happens a lot, and you just gotta deal with it, I guess. And we're hooked up here again not too long after that first bite. And this thing right here, you'll see me take off the line, is called a planer board. And all that does is just gets your lines farther away from the boat so that you could set out more lines. And people also believe that the motor scares away the fish. So you might want to use some planer boards.
Uh, let's see. Oh, it's a nice Laker. Yeah. Nice, dude. Look at that.
Yeah, that lake trout ended up being about 19 inches and he bit on the spoon. You can't really go wrong with a spoon when trolling. And a couple hours later, we're hooked up again. My lure was about 15 feet down, and we're in about 50 feet of water.
I think that'll keep. Oh, that's a beaut. See. Yeah, there we go. That's just what we needed. Oh yeah, that'll keep, dude.
Yeah, so day one was pretty successful. Caught a couple fish, had some dinner. And one thing to take away from today was that when the conditions are pretty consistent, the fish will just be wherever the fish are. You got to find them, and then once you find what they want and what depth they're at, you just repeat that on all your rods, and you should be catching some fish. Okay, so here's the forecast for day two. Now you can see that the pressure is dropping very quickly, which means that some weather is coming, and there was snow that day. So from what I've read, trout actually tend to go to deeper water when the pressure drops like this, and that is because they can actually feel it in their air bladder. And they get that discomfort in their air bladder, and they try and neutralize that discomfort by going to deeper water. It's comparable to when you go up a mountain and your ears pop like that and it hurts, so the only way to get rid of that is to go back down the mountain. Yeah, I didn't catch a damn thing this day. I don't think I was trolling deep enough. So this is the forecast for day three. You can see it's pretty consistent. The pressure is rising a little bit, but that shouldn't really affect it. The plan is just find the fish and then put everything where the fish are. So when I'm first starting off the day, I usually tend to put my rods at all different depths. So this one on the right with the planer board is at about 25 feet deep, and the one on the left is about like 10 or 15 feet deep. And throughout the video, I'll be in around 50 to 90 feet of water, and you'll catch fish in all different depths. And what I want you to look at here is the planer board. In a couple seconds, you're going to see it kind of jerk to the left a little bit, and that means that there's a fish on. And there is an indicator flag on the planer board, but I found that it doesn't really work.
Lake trout. Nice. Yeah.
So I set out this rod here as my surface rod, and it's usually about like 5, maybe 10 feet under the surface. And watch this. They always bite when you're not looking.
No, don't go towards the motor. Okay. Alright.
So as the day went on, I started to get less and less bites. So what I did here was I actually set my lures at like 40 feet, and I went a little deeper, and I actually hooked up on a lot of fish.
Another lake. Oh no, it's what is it? Yeah, it's a lake here. Yeah. Sweet. There we go.
So here's day 4. I actually didn't take a screenshot of the weather, of course, but it was basically the same as the previous day. These two were back-to-back days, and I actually tried to use what I learned from yesterday to catch fish. I tried trolling at 40 feet, but I realized I wasn't getting anything, so I switched up to about 25 feet, and this was in about 90 feet of water, so my lures were at 25 feet. And I'm new to trolling really, so it's kind of hard to get over the fact that you could catch a fish in 90 feet of water, but like your lure is only in 25 feet. It's different, but it's really, really interesting.
Lake trout. Decent one too. Oh, yes. Yeah. There's the leader. 50 feet.
So this was about 2 hours after that first fish, and I did get a couple more bites, but I didn't land those fish. But basically what I did here was I switched up the lures because I noticed that the spoons that I was using, the action wasn't that good at the speed I was trolling. So I switched up to some little like trolling plug. I don't know really know what it's called, but you'll see here in a second. And the action on that was really, really nice. And I drop it down to about 25 feet, and we're in about 60 feet of water here, and you'll see what happens here.
Oh, this is a good fish. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, this is the lure that I was using, and it's just always important to switch out the lure every now and again. Yeah, so this is the last fish of the day, and I had to get going to class, so I left shortly after this. But the weird thing is, some heavy, heavy fog rolled in, and I would look down for like 10 seconds, and I would look back up, and I'd be lost. I swear, it was crazy stuff. You could see the fog there. So to end off the video, I'm just going to go over some the key takeaways that I learned over these couple days. So the first one is that you want to pay attention to your weather conditions. If that pressure drops dramatically, fish deeper, and if it's pretty consistent, just find the fish and put all your lures at the same depth once you find the fish. And the second point is to fish at different depths. If you're not catching anything at with your lures at 25 feet, switch them to 40 feet, switch them to 10 feet until you find the fish. And also make sure to switch your lures out. As you saw, I switched that lure out and I caught 2 fish back to back. And lastly, use a long leader. I tend to use like 100 feet of fluorocarbon because trout can see really, really well, especially in clear water. And I'm using lead core line, which is colored line, so you know how much line you have out. So they'll be able to see that stuff. So use a long leader. And yeah, that's all I got. So I'll see you out there soon.